Have you ever wanted something so bad that you can taste it? That you've saved day after day, week after week, year after year to get this thing that you've just been obsessing over. And that's what you do. You obsess. You watch YouTube videos, much like this one. This isn't the watch. And you read articles and you learn every single thing that is to know about this watch. You know every curve, every glimmer, every glint, every sunburst that the camera lens can give your eyes of its sweet, sweet glory. Then the day comes. $12,000. Well, that's not a lot. I mean, it is a lot, but $12,000 you've saved for 2 years now. You've eaten top ramen every single day to get this dream watch. And now you have it. It's in your hand. And what do? You look down, you caress it, you say sweet, sweet nothings in its ear. And now the chase is over. The climb to the top of the mountain, to the peak of excellence, is done. It's finished. And now what? And now you have this wonderful, wonderful, lackluster hunk of steel on your wrist. It's not nearly what you thought. And then you start to ask yourself, is it the chase that I love the most? Is it the suffering and the grind and not being able to go out and eat McDonald's instead of having top ramen? Is that what caused the obsession to continue? Is that what I lusted after the most? And by lusting, was it like lusting after a beautiful woman and finally you're able to have that wonderful night that you've always been dreaming of and you wake up and say, God, that was meh. That was not at all what I thought. That was the most boring thing in my entire life, and all I have is regret.
Cut this shit, will you? Just cut it! I don't know what you're up to.
Maybe that's what this is, regret. And you look down at your wrist, and you keep looking down at your wrist, and you think, God, it's just not what I thought it would be. I don't know what it is. Is it the proportions? Is it the sunburst dial that I thought I'd like? Is it just the fact that it's boring because I thought it would have some other appeal? And that's exactly what this video is for. It's for those people. Before the regret, buy an homage. Let's hop right into it. Today, we're looking at the Cadisen Green Sunburst Hulk homage. Now, a lot of people do not like homage watches. A lot of people will tell you that homages are like replicas, or why don't you just buy something different with its own aesthetic design? And yes, an homage is nearly a replica of another watch, except with that watch's brand on it, like Cadisen here. I'm telling you that I have gone through exactly what I told you at the beginning of the video. I lusted after a Tudor Black Bay, and then I saved and I saved and I saved, and I finally got one. And it was so underwhelming on the wrist. Now, it took about 30 days for me to realize that I didn't like the watch because the honeymoon phase had worn off completely. And then I was like, man, this thing sits really high on the wrist. It's really bulky. It's really clunky. And it took me some time to figure it out. Because if I just go into an authorized dealer and I put it on my wrist and I think, oh, and it looks great on the wrist, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spend this load of cash, maybe on credit at 22%. So really, this $6,000 watch is going to end up costing me $9,000 in the end. Before you do that, buy an homage so you can get the feel and kind of the look, right? You're 80% there, and 80% there is good enough for you to make a decision on whether or not to pull the trigger on the more expensive model. Now, this Cadisen is very high quality for $110, and it would be a shame for you to go spend the $12,000 when you can spend $110 first. Now, the Cadisen offers 316 solid L stainless steel, brushed in some parts, high polished in other parts, an automatic movement, sapphire crystal, a sunburst dial. And it even has a glide lock style clasp, so you can do some quick adjustments on the fly. So what really do you have to lose? Almost nothing. So let's go ahead and hop into this review. Now, Cadisen is one of those watch brands you can find on AliExpress, on eBay, even some Amazon stores sell Cadisen. It is the affordable alternative to the more expensive luxury watches. Now, this dive watch does offer a lot of bang for the buck. Now, let's go over the specs of this Cadisen dive watch. Now, the measurements are exactly what you'd expect on generally every single dive watch from Cadisen. 40 millimeters in diameter, a lug to lug of 48 millimeters, so it doesn't fit too large on the wrist, a thickness of 13 millimeters, and a lug width or the strap width of 20 millimeters. So any chase strap from chasestraps.com, my own personal watch strap company, linked down below, can fit on this watch. The watch has a ceramic bezel, which is very high quality, especially for 110 bucks. Unidirectional, 120 click, as you'd expect any dive watch. Now the sunburst green dial looks great in the sunlight more than it does here at the studio. And you can see the indices are exactly what you'd expect of an homage from a higher quality luxury brand who has a watch that is nicknamed the Hulk. Now, one of the things that I do like about this watch is the fact that it isn't automatic, has an NH35, so it is a workhorse movement, as you'd expect. And some people would say, well, NH35, it's a lower quality workhorse movement. Really, if you wanted to buy a watch, a lot of people in the under $100 range or sub $150 range may point you towards something like the Invicta Pro Diver. The Invicta Pro Diver is great. However, it's very lackluster. It's very expensive for what they offer, especially when you look at something like this Cadisen here, right? This Cadisen here is much more robust, has better water resistance rating, and has a higher quality materials in it. So it does have an NH35, which is in a lot of watches under 300 bucks, and it is a workhorse movement, beating at 21,600 vibrations an hour, and has a power reserve of about 40 hours. Now, you can expect plus or minus 15 to 25 seconds a day on NH35 if it's running well. One of the things I do like about this watch is they use a proper 2.5 times the magnification Cyclops over that date window at the 3 o'clock. Most watch companies, especially affordable watch companies, when they have something like a Cyclops eye, will be a 1 times or 1.5 times. So really, you ask yourself, what's the point of having a Cyclops eye at that point? This uses 2.5 times, which is something you just don't see in the watch market today on affordable watches. Now, outside of the dial, outside of that ceramic 120 click unidirectional bezel, this thing does offer 200 meters of water resistance, so it is a proper dive watch. You can wear it in any day wear, and you can also use it for scuba diving if you want, though I wouldn't recommend it. It does have a sterile case back, it does have solid end links, and the bracelet is done quite nicely. It has an oyster style bracelet, right? And it tapers down quite nicely onto a properly milled clasp. It does have a fold over locking clasp. You open it up and it does have the ability to do micro adjustments on the fly on that glide lock style clasp system. On the wrist, it fits exactly as you'd expect, a 40 millimeter with a 40 millimeter lug to lug. It fits quite nicely. In fact, I have a Rolex Hulk, and this thing isn't done as well as that, which is what you'd expect. However, I do recommend getting something like an homage watch before you pull the trigger on something more expensive. It does have a screw-down crown. Everything functions quite nicely. The only thing that I don't like about the NH35 is that slow rollover on the date window, which means as the hour comes around the 11 o'clock, the date slowly adjusts over, and then finally at the midnight, it pops over. It's not a deal breaker, especially for $110. I think that people have the impression that these watches are not going to last for a long time, but I've had several homage watches here on the desk for years that are still in my studio, and they work just fine. The case finishing is done quite nicely. It does have hard lines as you'd expect on this style of dive watch. High polish on the side, brushed on the top, and the knurling on the crown is very grippy to include the grip on the bezel. Overall, the presentation of this watch is very good. Even on the macro shots, the quality control is on point. Couldn't find any dust or any imperfections on the dial. So for 110 bucks, you're getting, well, okay, let's be real. For $110, you don't know what you're getting, right? You may get something that has high quality control like I did, or you may get something that has some imperfections in it, but you're spending $110. So lower your expectations slightly. You're not getting a luxury watch, but you're getting a luxury-like watch. This watch wears heavy at 160 grams, but that's any stainless steel sports diving watch with a full stainless steel bracelet. So expect it to have a little bit of weight on the wrist. Overall, I think this watch is a pretty good alternative. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you'd be hard pressed to find something with the same kind of quality for 110 bucks. I think that people who are saving for their luxury dream timepiece should always try the affordable alternative first before they blow their money on something that they regret later. This watch gives you, like I said in the beginning of the video, 80% the wearing likeness of the original. So you're better to buy the homage first, make sure you like it, instead of just blowing your money on something else. And then if you do like it and you do get the more expensive alternative, you can give this watch to your son or a friend or somebody else, because it's gonna last them for a long time too. The NH35 is a movement that's gonna last you anywhere from 5 to 10 years. For 110 bucks, I mean, you really can't beat that type of cost per wear. Now, what do you guys think about this video? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I got a lot of watch reviews coming up in the future. I have another Cadisen Sprite, right? The Rolex Sprite left-handed watch. I'm going to call it the Sahara Mist, right? It's not the Sprite, it's the Sahara Mist. I have that GMT watch coming up in the next week. I have other things here on the desk for review, so look forward to more reviews coming up here in the future. Now, if you like videos and videos like this, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see on this video. I have the Tissot PRX still en route. It'll be here this week, and then in about a month, I'll do a review on it. And then once I hit 15,000 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers for that Tissot PRX Powermatic automatic watch. So stay tuned for all of that. Make sure you hit your notification bell, because I have a video being released every 2 to 3 days. Look forward to seeing you guys here, and I'll see you in the next one.